Barbie is sweeping all over the world and already has the biggest single opening day of 2023 in the States so far, and is also tracking to do incredibly well in the rest of the world at the box office.
Was it also a home run success for us? That's right. That's Ewan and me, the Quiet on Set podcast crew. We will get into this non-spoiler review of Barbie.
That's right, but if you have seen the film already and you want to hear our full-on spoiler thoughts in the spoiler review, go check out the podcast where we will be discussing Barbenheimer in its entirety. But Lachlan, the marketing for this was crazy. Did it work on you, and did it give you what you expected and what you wanted out of the film?
It gave me more than what I
Yes.
expected or that I wanted.
That's amazing.
I walked out of the theater saying that this film did not deserve to be this good. Holy shit, this movie was not what I was expecting and made it very difficult for me to tell which one was better, Barbie or Oppenheimer, because they're both great for different reasons. And we had this discussion, was it last week, about comedies? Like, no one makes good comedies or good mid-range. This is a comedy. This is a funny movie.
Yeah.
Finally.
Although it wouldn't be mid-range because it did cost, what did it cost? Like 145 million?
Not mid-range. Wait, it cost 145 million?
It did cost 145 million.
It costed more than Oppenheimer?
It costed 45 million more than Oppenheimer.
I mean,
to be fair, like, maybe let's talk
about
about the cast. There's a huge cast and there's a ton of people in this.
both of those
there's a ton
movies,
of people
but yes.
in both of those movies. I think in Oppenheimer it does have a couple more of like recognizable faces for no reason whatsoever. It did take me out of it a bit more, but here it just kind of is working because it is such a pure comedy that it can throw silly logic at you and just tell you to like, oh, don't worry about that. Literally to a character, but also to the audience. And I think, this was written by Greta Gerwig and her partner Noah Baumbach. And they've made some incredible films outside of the blockbuster sphere of films. And Greta Gerwig more recently had said that like she's gonna be doing more of this. We also talked about this like a couple of weeks ago because of Barbie, because of her taking on Narnia, if these art house directors should be doing more of these bigger films. And I argued for it in that way that like if they add something to it and make blockbuster cinema better than it currently is, which is in an abysmal state, then I'm all for it. And then I'm always like, the biggest winner here is Mattel. Like, what the fuck? Like, they don't do shit. They are basically like the character that's just greedy in this, and they can play that in the story as well. But they are ultimately winning, and we as the consumer get a really funny and entertaining and colorful and charming and insightful and just heartfelt comedy that is like we've never gotten a film like this, and we most likely will not get anything ever like this again. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So we both really enjoyed it. Was there anything else that really stands out to you that you wanna talk about, Lachlan?
Without getting into spoilers, because we're trying not to do that. Story-wise, this film goes in multiple different places and doesn't stick to one story, and it keeps you engaged by doing that. So if you were expecting a story out of Barbie and you have an idea of what that story will be, throw it out the window, because that's not what the story is going to be about. It goes in many places, many directions, and it was fun. It was a fun ride. I can't really get into specifics without spoiling some stuff.
Not yet.
But
check out the podcast for that.
I'll tell you what, if you want to see either of the two films, Barbie or Oppenheimer, I'll tell you what, both are excellent for different reasons. They're both great. You'll be having a great time at the cinema for two completely different reasons.
Exactly. I think for its production design alone, Barbie is worth seeing. Even if you're just like, you're completely just like tuning out. You're in there with noise canceling headphones, and you're just looking at the visuals. That's already enough stimuli to have a great time. And I think like some of the comedy works incredibly well. Some of the like less comedic moments that are really more about that sometimes come off as preachy. They're like super self-aware to an extent that it becomes like so aware that if you make a big speech, then like, how do you do that without just being that way? I don't know if this is making any sense, but it's just, if it's woven into the story a bit more naturally, then I think I enjoy it a bit more. It's more easily consumable. But ultimately, this movie is also not really trying to do that, and it's balancing so many different things that I think it's sometimes like has a hard time just doing the balancing act of like addressing everything at all times and being this meta. And that's something, if it's done too much, like in a Deadpool or whatever, I end up not enjoying it, because that's the whole substance of the film becomes that. Barbie is not that. It's got like a really nice pink shiny core that is rooted in something really simple, and that's just like feminism. It's nice. I like it. It's like all of the points that it makes are, I'd say, pretty low-hanging fruit. It's nothing like a big concept, but it doesn't need to be that way, because it is a big blockbuster that's just like appealing to the biggest audience possible. And I think it does a great balancing act, but it also ends up telling a really entertaining story. And Ken steals the show. I mean, when we talk about performances, I think the way that Ryan Gosling leans in. I mean, Margot Robbie is also really great in it, but Ryan Gosling is just like so full-heartedly committed to his role here that I couldn't take my eyes off him. And then lastly, the costume design, incredible stuff. Just a great time all around. Yeah, so what's your rating for Barbie?
My rating is 4.5 stars out of 5.
Interesting. Okay, we just did our Oppenheimer non-spoiler review, and you gave it the same rating. I'm going a bit lower. I almost adjusted it up to a 4.5, but I'm still sticking to the 4. I do have some issues with the story in parts. We'll get into that in our spoiler review, where I actually can reference what I specifically mean. But in the meantime, let us know which movie you preferred and what you made of Barbie. You can subscribe to this channel, leave a like as well, and check out the podcast where we get into full-on spoilers for both of these films. So thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.